22 Jump Street! Yes, I've finally seen this film. Sorry if I'm late to the party, but again, I unfortunately can't get to every summer film when it comes out, but I saw this one, and I'm guessing some people are curious what I thought of this film, because I did do a My Thoughts video of it, and going into this film, I was pretty skeptical of it. I mean, I really enjoyed the first one, and oftentimes when you do a comedy sequel, it's not as good as the first one, and in a lot of cases, it's just a blatant cash grab, like Hangover 2, which was boring, bland. It didn't have any of what made the first one awesome, and just wound up being a rehash. So obviously, I'm going to be skeptical when 22 Jump Street comes out. But I've been hearing a lot of good things about this film. A lot of people say it's good. No, it's not bad. It doesn't suck. And yeah, they're right. It's good. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still really funny. I mean, it's more or less the same plot as the first one. I mean, only this time they're in college. But it works, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the humor does work. Like, they are able to, the writers did sit down and did come up with a lot of really good jokes. And there are some really smart jokes about sequels. And it was kind of a fun nod, because I kept thinking of Hangover 2 and what they did wrong. And to see a comedy just come out and be fresh and funny, and poke fun, jab at people who do it wrong, was nice. And it does feel fresh. There are a good chunk of scenes. There were some moments where I'm like, I don't know, we're going for this again. But for the most part, they made it fresh. And it was really funny. All the original cast members are back. The main ones, anyway. And a couple return who I'm not going to give away. But they're all good. They all seem to be having fun, having a good time. They don't seem like they're phoning it in or collecting a paycheck. Ice Cube is still hilarious. And there are also some new characters and some really great guest stars and surprise cameos who I won't spoil because it'll just ruin the fun. The instant some of these characters appear on screen, I just burst out laughing really hard. But with all that said and done, it's not as good as the first one. And a lot of you people are probably going to be like, why isn't it as good as the first one? And I'm going to get into a bit of criticism here, and I have a lot of it in my written review. Don't take this as I hate the film. I did enjoy it, I just don't think it's as good as the first one. And I do want to elaborate, because, it's not as good as the first one because it's a sequel. Because there are some great sequels out there that are better than the first one. But there are some things that hold this film back from being spectacular. For one thing, it doesn't have the heart the first film had. Well, a lot of what made the first film work good is it had this really good heart. It wasn't just frantic craziness. It had a lot of slow scenes, a lot of heartfelt moments. More importantly, it had this great relationship between your two leads. And while that's still there in this film, and while it's still funny, it's not as strong or believable or as heartfelt in the first film. It is a little mean-spirited. There is this conflict between them that feels a little forced and cliche, and it's a little annoying to sit through, and it does weigh the movie down. And there aren't as many heartfelt moments. The film's a lot more raunchy and just throwing stuff out there. And while it's funny, I do sort of miss the frequent quiet moments of the first film and how it was somewhat restrained in its humor. Whereas this one, it's just throwing a lot more stuff out there. And it feels more like a mishmash of scenes this time around in the story, whereas the first one had a bit more of a story and it was fleshed out more. This one just felt a bit more messy in terms of story. Like the writers couldn't think of... It's like the writers just filled it with jokes to prevent it from feeling more like a rehash. And there are some generic and cliche moments, and they are a little annoying to sit through. It's like, we're sitting for this cliche. And I'm not one to complain about cliches, but when you just present the cliche and don't do anything interesting with it, I have a right to complain. And this film does do that sometimes. And sometimes it's even recycling cliches from the first film. And there's some parts where it's really on the ball in terms of making fun of a scene that they did in the first film. Like, they'll be doing a scene similar to one they did in the first film, but they'll make a joke about it, they'll rehash it, they'll do something to make it fresh. Which is why it is so annoying when you get to certain scenes and it's literally the same shit as last time and they don't do anything interesting with it. Trying to think. Also, this film felt a bit more like it was trying a little too hard. Like, there were times when I felt like the film was trying a little too hard to get you to like it. Whereas the first film, I felt like they just sat down, made something really good. It's like, I hope you guys enjoyed. This one, it's like, they made something good, but it's more like, we made something good and you are going to like it. And this I felt this came out especially, this came across a lot, especially in its sequel humor. Because a lot of times it's like joking about how sequels rehash and how it's the same thing as the first one. And the joke's funny for like the first one or two times they do it, but after that it starts to get old. And they make it a lot. And eventually it gets to the point where it stops becoming funny and becomes annoying. It's like, I get it. Your sequel's rehash. You're not doing it. And it gets to the point where not only does it become annoying, but it feels like the film's showing off. Like, hey, we're not one of those bad sequels. Look at us. And you don't need to show off. We can flaunt and praise the film for you. You don't need to do that yourself. But yeah, I mean, like, those criticisms are pretty minor. I mean, at the end of the day, a comedy, when I walk away from a comedy, I need to answer one question. Did this film make me laugh? And the answer is yes, it made me laugh quite a bit. I laughed very frequently during this film. A lot of good comedy. Enjoyed myself. Surprisingly, it didn't suck or feel like a rehash. It wasn't quite as strong as the first one, and I don't think it had quite the lasting appeal that the first one did. Like, this feels more like it was fun, but it's more of a one and done deal. It doesn't quite have that rewatch value. And also, whereas the first one, you have the charm of you're not expecting it to be good. This one, you know you're getting something good. So it would take a lot more to impress me, and like the film would, like, to really be wowed or amazed, it would have to surpass the first one. Whereas this is just, it's good. But don't take that as a criticism. Again, it's a good film. If you enjoyed the first one, I definitely recommend checking this one out. Like, although if you're a super diehard fan, you probably already saw this in theaters when it came out. But if you're one of those people who's on the fence, you really weren't sure, and sorry about the light, I'm experimenting with a new lighting system. But I digress. But if you're one of those people who's on the fence and unsure about whether or not you were going to like this film or whether or not it'd be as good as the first one, rest assured, it's funny. You're going to laugh. You're going to have a good time. Just don't expect it to be a great sequel. Don't expect it to be as good as the first one. It's not. It's fun. You're going to laugh, and it won't completely suck like Hangover 2. But if you aren't a fan of the first one, don't check this one out. It's not going to change your mind. It's more the same. And I'm just amazed this film didn't completely suck, and it wound up being enjoyable. And in case you haven't heard, they are making a 23 Jump Street, although I can't. That one feels forced, because I don't want to give anything away for those people who haven't seen it, but this ending very much seems to indicate that this is it. This was supposed to be the end. There wasn't going to be a 23 Jump Street. I mean, they joke about 23 Jump Street a bit, but I don't think they actually were serious about it. But they're making it. But who knows? Maybe that won't be good. And that's all I have to say. There's going to be a link to my written review in the description below. And as always, I encourage you guys to comment about what you thought of 22 Jump Street. Did it meet your expectations? Did it surpass them? Was it as good as the first one? If you're curious what I thought of the first one, I do have my written review. That, link to it in the description below. And as always, like and dislike and subscribe. And one more thing. I'm trying out a new lighting system. I usually have one lamp going, but I have two. I'd be curious to know if you think this is better than the old one or not. I mean, aside from you can clearly see the glare on my sunglasses. Do you think this is a good lighting system? Please comment. I'd be interested to hear your feedback, as my videos, while I do them for me, you guys enjoy them, and I ultimately do want to make good videos for you guys, so if you think this is a good lighting setup, please let me know, as I will gladly continue it. And if you think it sucks and I should go back to the old lighting system, please let me know. And that's all I have to say about 22 Jump Street. It surprised me by not sucking, and I enjoyed it. So, this is JStar60, and I'll see you guys in my next video.